Against all odds. Among the countless stars scattered across the Orion arm of the Milky Way galaxy, a small blue planet orbited an unremarkable yellow star. This cosmic afterthought, Earth, was home to a species that would go on to confound expectations across the galaxy: humans. The Galactic Confederation, a coalition of over 300 spacefaring civilizations, had long ago cataloged Earth as potentially harboring primitive life and filed it away in their vast databases. The Confederation's assessment placed Earth somewhere between planets with interesting geological formations and worlds best avoided due to excessive solar radiation, a classification that would prove hilariously inadequate. While the advanced civilizations of the Confederation spent millennia perfecting their societies through careful, methodical progress, humans raced from stone tools to digital technology in what amounted to a cosmic blink. The Kelveri, a species of floating crystalline entities who prided themselves on logical progression, calculated humans had a 0.73% chance of achieving interstellar travel before destroying themselves, a fair assessment given humanity's contradictory nature, capable of both breathtaking compassion and shocking violence, often within the same day. Dr. Eliza Chen never accepted statistical impossibilities. In her cramped laboratory at the International Space Research Institute, surrounded by equations that her colleagues had dismissed as theoretical fantasies, she worked. The walls of her lab were covered with handwritten notes, holographic projections, and a single motivational poster showing the stars with the caption, "The impossible just hasn't been done yet." "You're insane," Chen, her department head, had told her just that morning. The energy requirements alone would drain Earth's resources for a century. Faster than light travel remains a physical impossibility. Eliza had simply smiled. She'd heard it all before. On June 17, 2079, while brewing her third cup of coffee, Eliza noticed an error in her equations. The realization hit her so suddenly that she knocked the coffee mug off her desk, spilling the dark liquid across her floor. She didn't notice. Her eyes were fixed on the holographic display, her mind racing through calculations. "It's not about breaking the light barrier," she whispered to herself. "It's about folding the space between points." 3 years later, against all scientific predictions and budget constraints, the first human interstellar vessel, aptly named Impossibility, left our solar system. The crew of 15 represented Earth's finest minds and most stable personalities, though the psychological screening process had been controversial, with Captain Akira Nakamura famously joking during selection, "Either we're making history, or we're making a very expensive coffin. Either way, I want to be part of it." What the crew of the Impossibility didn't expect was that the galaxy had long been settled, organized, and thoroughly regulated by the Galactic Confederation. First contact occurred near Proxima Centauri, when the Impossibility encountered a Kelveri survey vessel. The humans were prepared with mathematical sequences, peace symbols, and carefully crafted greetings. The Kelveri were prepared with confusion, disbelief, and a 327-page violation notice. "You've bypassed approximately 12 developmental stages," the Kelveri representative informed them through hastily calibrated translation software. "Your civilization's application for Confederation recognition cannot be processed until you complete the required evolutionary milestones." Captain Nakamura frowned. "We didn't know we needed to apply." "Ignorance of galactic law is not a valid defense," responded the Kelveri, their crystalline form vibrating with what might have been indignation. "You must return to your homeworld and progress along approved developmental pathways." The human crew exchanged glances. Lieutenant Sofia Rodriguez, the ship's engineer who had never been particularly good with authority figures, stepped forward. "And what if we don't?" she asked. The Kelveri paused, crystals flickering in confusion. That doesn't typically happen." And thus began humanity's grand tradition of being the cosmic exception to every rule. In the years that followed, humans expanded their presence beyond Earth with characteristic determination. They established colonies on worlds the Confederation had deemed unsuitable for intelligent habitation. They built spacecraft that Confederation engineers described as alarmingly unstable, yet inexplicably functional. They developed diplomatic relations with 17 species through a combination of genuine curiosity, persistent friendliness, and in one notable case, the discovery that the methane-breathing Grovians found human jokes about bodily functions to be the height of sophisticated humor. The Confederation observed with growing alarm as humans repeatedly accomplished what their models indicated should be impossible. Humans didn't seem to understand the concept of impossibility, and they refused to learn. When faced with toxic atmospheric conditions on a potential colony world, humans invented filtration systems that Confederation experts called criminally simplistic yet disturbingly effective. When encountering gravitational anomalies that should have made a particular star system unnavigable, a human pilot named Diego Suarez created navigational algorithms that he described as just feeling my way through, which subsequently became the standard for all vessels in the region. By 2095, Earth had violated 76 developmental protocols, established diplomatic missions with 34 Confederation species, and introduced the concept of weekend parties to a galactic community that had previously scheduled recreational activities 3 standard cycles in advance. The Confederation Council, the governing body that made decisions with all the speed of an evolutionary process, called an emergency session to address what many members were now calling the human situation. It was only the 3rd emergency session in over a millennium. "They're disrupting the natural order," complained the Volodarian representative, a 6-limbed being whose species had evolved over millions of years to perfect the art of bureaucratic procedure. They introduced competitive sports to the Zerilli, a species that communicates through harmonious movement. Now they won't stop trying to win conversations. They're solving problems they shouldn't even comprehend, noted the Kelveri delegate, who had been forced to revise their probability calculations regarding humans 14 times in the past standard cycle. The truth was, humans had become the cosmic equivalent of the one person who never read the instruction manual, but somehow got the device working anyway. And the Confederation, a collection of species who had meticulously followed every evolutionary guidebook, were both fascinated and terrified by the possibilities. Dr. Eliza Chen, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Confederation, stood before the council, her small frame dwarfed by the enormous chamber. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the tiered seating, their varied physiologies a testament to the diversity of life in the galaxy. "Esteemed council members," she began, her voice steady despite the overwhelming scrutiny. "We understand our arrival has been unexpected, but we come with peaceful intentions and a desire to learn from your collective wisdom. Your species has violated 76 developmental protocols," the archival master intoned, tendrils waving in agitation. "This is unprecedented." Chen nodded. Humanity has always excelled at being unprecedented. A ripple of what might have been amusement or horror moved through the chamber. "We propose a compromise," Chen continued. "Allow Earth provisional membership in the Confederation. In return, we'll share our technological innovations and unique problem-solving approaches. Your technology is crude at best," the Kelveri representative observed. "Perhaps," Chen admitted, "but it works in ways your models didn't predict. Isn't that worth studying?" The debate raged for 17 standard cycles, a record even for the notoriously deliberative council. In the end, humans were granted provisional status, a designation created specifically for them, as no other species had ever required such an exception to standard protocols. Just as the galactic community began to adjust to the presence of humans, the void anomaly appeared at the edge of Confederation space. It began as a small distortion in the fabric of space-time, barely noticeable to even the most sensitive instruments. Within cycles, it had grown to encompass an entire star system. The Hragnori, a species of methane brothers with 6 eyes and mathematical abilities that bordered on precognition, were the first to detect it. Their colony on Centauri Prime sent a distress signal just before all communication ceased. When Confederation vessels arrived, they found the entire Ragnori colony frozen in time, each individual suspended in mid-motion, neither alive nor dead, but caught in a moment that stretched beyond understanding. The anomaly continued to expand, engulfing system after system. Confederation scientists studied the phenomenon from a safe distance, their instruments yielding confusing readings and contradictory data. Mathematical models predicted the anomaly would reach the core Confederation worlds within 2 standard cycles. It defies all known physical laws, the Kelveri science director reported to the Council. It appears to be a rupture in the fabric of space-time itself, creating a zone where temporal physics operate differently. Our most advanced simulations cannot predict its behavior. The Council, faced with an unprecedented threat, did what it had always done. It formed committees, drafted reports, and prepared evacuation plans with meticulous attention to protocol. Meanwhile, on the human colony world of New Horizon, a team of scientists led by Dr. Raj Patel watched the Confederation's response with growing frustration. "They're studying it to death," Raj complained to his colleague, Dr. Sarah Williams, as they reviewed the data from the anomaly. By the time they finished their analysis, half the galaxy could be swallowed up. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the anomaly's expansion. "What they need is a practical solution, not more theories. So let's give them one," Raj said, already reaching for his communication device. "Let's see if Captain Nakamura is up for another impossible mission." As the Confederation Council debated evacuation priorities and resource allocation, the Human Diplomatic Office submitted a proposal so audacious that the Council initially believed it to be a translation error. Ambassador Chen stood once again before the Council, her expression serious. The human scientific team led by Dr. Patel believes they can not only stop the anomaly's expansion, but potentially reverse its effects. "Impossible," the Kelveri representative stated flatly. "Our most advanced civilizations have concluded this phenomenon cannot be contained with current technology." Chen's smile was small but confident. "With respect, Your Excellency, humans specialize in the impossible." The human factor. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices, appendages, and telepathic projections as representatives debated the human proposal. The archival master finally restored order by activating the chamber's harmonic dampeners, a system originally designed to prevent the melodious Sindhi from accidentally triggering resonance cascades during passionate debates. "This proposal is not merely unprecedented, it is reckless," declared the Volodarian representative. "The humans suggest sending a vessel into the anomaly. Our simulations indicate a 99.87% probability of complete destruction for any matter entering the distortion field." Ambassador Chen remained calm. "We've reviewed your simulations, and we respectfully disagree with your conclusions. Our scientists believe the temporal distortion creates opportunities as well as dangers." "Based on what evidence?" demanded the Kelveri, their crystalline form pulsating with skepticism. "Intuition," Chen replied simply. The chamber fell silent, the concept so alien to the methodical Confederation species that several translation systems simultaneously crashed attempting to process it. While the council deliberated, Captain Akira Nakamura prepared the impossibility for what many were calling a suicide mission. The ship had been retrofitted with experimental technology based on Dr. Patel's theories about the anomaly's nature. Lieutenant Rodriguez, now chief engineer, supervised the installation of the temporal resonance array, a device that existed mostly in theory until 3 weeks ago. "This would be easier if we had another 6 months of testing," she muttered as she calibrated the primary coils. "The Ragnori colony doesn't have 6 months," replied Dr. Sarah Williams, attaching sensor packages to her environmental suit. As the mission's scientific lead, she would be gathering data from inside the anomaly, assuming they survived entry. Captain Nakamura entered the engine room, his expression serious but eyes bright with the same excitement that had carried him across the stars on humanity's first interstellar journey. "Status report. The TRA is online," Captain, Rodriguez replied. Theoretical efficiency is at 82%, which is about as good as we're going to get without breaking several more laws of physics. Only 82%. Nakamura raised an eyebrow. I remember when you told me the fold drive had a theoretical efficiency of 65%, and here we are, 7 light years from home. Rodriguez grinned. I like to build in a safety margin. The Confederation Science Directorate has denied our launch clearance. Communication Officer Lai reported as they gathered on the bridge. They cite 17 safety violations and catastrophic risk potential. Nakamura settled into the captain's chair. Note their objection in the log. Then take us out, Helm. They'll be furious. Lai warned. They can add it to our tab, the captain replied. Set course for the anomaly perimeter. As the impossibility eye departed, monitoring stations across the sector tracked its progress. Word spread quickly through Confederation channels that the humans were attempting what the Kelveri had deemed statistically indistinguishable from suicide. The Confederation Council was still debating the human proposal when they received word that the mission was already underway. Several representatives immediately called for sanctions against Earth for this violation of procedure. Others, however, watched in fascination. The Drell, an aquatic species known for their pragmatism, quietly adjusted their observation equipment to capture every detail of the human endeavor. If they survive, the data will be invaluable, the Drell representative noted pragmatically. If they don't, the data will still be invaluable. Aboard the Impossibility Eye, the crew prepared for contact with the anomaly's outer boundary. Temporal distortion increasing, reported Science Officer Kwan, reading significant gravity fluctuations and something our sensors can't quite identify. That's not ominous at all, muttered Rodriguez. Dr. Williams studied the readings, her brow furrowed. It's almost as if time itself is folding in that region, not slowing or accelerating, but reorienting. Reorienting how? Nakamura asked. Williams shook her head. I'm not sure our language has words for it. Approaching boundary in 30 seconds, the helmsman announced. Nakamura opened the shipwide communication channel. All hands, secure stations. We're about to make history, or become a very interesting physics problem for future generations. Either way, it's been an honor. The Impossibility Eye crossed the boundary of the anomaly, and for an eternal moment, everything stopped. The crew experienced a sensation beyond description, as if they existed simultaneously in multiple moments, their consciousness stretched across possibilities. Then reality snapped back with such force that emergency systems activated shipwide. Warning klaxons blared as the vessel's structural integrity was tested to its limits. Status. Nakamura called out once he could form words again. We're inside, Kwan replied, checking his instruments. Ship integrity at 97%. TRA is active. And, Captain, you need to see this. The view screen showed something no human or Confederation species had ever witnessed, the fabric of reality itself, visible to the naked eye. Streams of energy flowed like rivers through what seemed to be the skeletal structure of space-time. And at the center, a pulsating core of darkness that defied description. It's beautiful, breathed Williams. It's also growing, Rodriguez pointed out. Those energy streams are being pulled toward the center. It's feeding on the energy of our universe. Williams moved quickly to her station. The TRA readings are off the charts. The anomaly isn't just distorting time. It's creating a bridge between our universe and somewhere else. The gravitational differential is pulling energy across the boundary. Can we stop it? Nakamura asked. Williams and Rodriguez exchanged glances. Not with the equipment we have, the engineer admitted. We'd need to generate a counter-resonance powerful enough to seal the breach, but the TRA wasn't designed for that kind of output. Nakamura studied the view screen, watching the mesmerizing flow of energy toward the dark center. What if we don't try to close it? What if we redirect it? Redirect an interdimensional breach. Rodriguez stared at him. Fats. Impossible. Nakamura smiled. My favorite kind of challenge. What followed was a perfect example of what would later be termed human crisis response methodology in Confederation academic texts. While a traditional approach would involve careful analysis, modeling, and consensus building, the crew of the Impossibility II embarked on a frantic period of improvisation, theoretical physics, and what Rodriguez called educated guesswork. Williams realized that the TRA could be modified to generate a resonance pattern that would nudge the anomaly's orientation. We can't close it, but we might be able to point it somewhere else, like away from populated systems. And where exactly would we point a universe-ending anomaly? Lai asked. There's a region of empty space about 12 light-years from here, Quan suggested, pulling up star charts. No inhabited systems, just interstellar dust and a few rogue planets. Rodriguez was already modifying the TRA, rerouting power systems in ways that violated at least 7 Confederation safety protocols. We'll only get one shot at this. Once we initiate the resonance pattern, the reaction will likely fry every circuit in the array. How close do we need to get to the core? Nakamura asked. Williams hesitated. Theoretically, much closer than any sane person would want to be. Nakamura nodded. Plot a course, Helm. Let's see how close we can dance to the edge of oblivion. The Impossibility II dove deeper into the anomaly, fighting increasingly violent temporal distortions. The crew experienced moments where time seemed to run backward, creating the surreal experience of completing tasks before deciding to begin them. In other moments, seconds stretched into subjective hours. TRA modifications complete, Rodriguez reported, though her voice echoed strangely, as if reaching them from multiple points in time. Ready on your command. Distance to optimal position, Nakamura asked. 300 kilometers, the helmsman replied. Structural integrity failing. We can't hold together much longer in these conditions. Nakamura looked at Williams. Will it work? She met his gaze steadily. The math says it's possible. Beyond that, she shrugged. Good enough for me, Nakamura decided. Initiate the resonance sequence. Rodriguez activated the modified TRI. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the streams of energy visible outside the ship began to waver, like rivers changing course. The dark core pulsed, expanded, and then began to move. It's working, Williams exclaimed. The anomaly is reorienting. Structural integrity at 42%, reported Quan. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Automated containment holding. But we need to get out of here. Can we make it to the boundary? Nakamura asked. Rodriguez shook her head. The TRA is overloading. When it goes. She never finished the sentence. The temporal resonance array exploded in a cascade of energy that engulfed the ship. The crew experienced one final, impossible moment. Existing everywhere and nowhere, witnessing the birth and death of stars, seeing the infinite possibilities of their lives unfold across countless realities. Then darkness. In the Confederation Council chamber, representatives watched in stunned silence as monitoring equipment tracked the anomaly's sudden change in orientation. Like a cosmic whirlpool changing direction, the phenomenon began moving away from populated space, its path now aimed toward an empty region between spiral arms. Impossible, whispered the Kelveri representative. The human vessel? Asked the Drell. No signs of survival, replied the monitoring technician. The anomaly's reorientation created a shockwave that would have. The technician stopped suddenly, staring at her instruments. Wait, I'm detecting a signal. Faint, but definitely from the Impossibility Eye. The message was patchy, distorted by temporal interference, but unmistakably Captain Nakamura's voice. Mission. Successful. Requesting. Assistance. Experiencing some temporal displacement. Crew, mostly in correct century. 3 days later, The Impossibility I was recovered by a Confederation rescue fleet. The ship was barely recognizable, its hull warped by forces beyond conventional physics. But miraculously, the crew had survived, albeit with some unusual side effects. Dr. Williams occasionally answered questions several minutes before they were asked. Lieutenant Rodriguez found she could perceive the quantum states of mechanical systems by touch, and all crew members reported dreams of alternative lives they might have lived in other realities. The Confederation medical experts were baffled but fascinated. These effects should be impossible, the chief medical officer told Ambassador Chen. Their cellular structure shows signs of existing in multiple time streams simultaneously. Humans have a talent for the impossible, Chen replied with a smile. The Confederation Council, faced with undeniable evidence of the human success, voted unanimously to create an unprecedented new category of membership specifically for Earth and its colonies, innovative problem solvers. The classification acknowledged humanity's unique approach while creating a framework for their continued participation in galactic affairs. More importantly, the Council established the Human Methodology Research Initiative, dedicated to studying humanity's unique problem-solving approach. The Kelveri, despite their initial skepticism, became particularly invested in understanding how intuition and what humans called educated guesses could produce results that defied their most sophisticated probability models. Captain Nakamura and his crew received the highest honors the Confederation could bestow. During the ceremony, the Archival Master, a being whose species had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, addressed them directly. Throughout our long history, we have categorized species by their technological achievements, their cultural sophistication, their mathematical understanding. But you humans have shown us a new category we had not considered: possibility. You see pathways where our models show walls. You attempt what our calculations deem futile. And in doing so, you remind us that the universe is not bound by our understanding of it. In the years that followed, human colonies expanded throughout Confederation space, always pushing boundaries, always questioning assumptions. Confederation species began incorporating human approaches into their methodologies, creating a renaissance of innovation across the galaxy. And when new threats emerged, a sentient quantum virus that infected AI systems, a dimensional rift that threatened the galactic core, a species of energy beings that fed on star plasma, the call went out for human assistance. The species that had arrived on the galactic stage too early, breaking all the rules of proper development, became the galaxy's problem solvers of last resort. The Kelveri, after much calculation and debate, finally identified the quality that made humans unique among Confederation species. They called it productive irrationality, the ability to pursue solutions that by all logical analysis should fail, yet somehow succeeded through a combination of creativity, determination, and what humans simply called luck. The Confederation ships now carried a saying, translated into hundreds of languages and dialects: when conventional methods fail, ask a human. On Earth, in the courtyard of the Interstellar Cooperation Center, a monument was erected to commemorate the Impossibility I mission. The plaque bore a simple quote from Captain Nakamura, words that came to define humanity's place in the galactic community. The difference between impossible and possible is often just a matter of perspective, and sometimes a healthy disregard for the odds.